You are live. Regent
Good
Bloom.
morning. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the April meeting of the Board's Committee on Academic and Student Affairs. I'm hereby calling the meeting to order. I ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Regent Bloom.
Present.
Regent James.
Present.
Regent McCarthy.
Present.
Regent Porth. Absence is noted. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize our ex officio member, Professor Sisinker. And we have a quorum.
And excuse me, Regent Bloom, our new regent has joined us just to listen and observe. And I'd like to recognize Regent Japanen, who was appointed by the legislature last month. So good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. I just want to start by announcing that I think something that most people are aware of. There is no April meeting of the full Board of Regents. So items that are recommended by the committee at this meeting will be considered by the full board at its May meeting. So just to clarify that point. I'd like to have a motion to move the minutes to the floor for review.
Move it.
Second. Any discussion, comments about the minutes? Can we move the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes of the meeting of March 10th are approved. The first action item is discontinuation of a group of post-baccalaureate certificates at Southern. Provost Kathoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Southern Connecticut State University seeks approval for the discontinuation of 17 post-baccalaureate certificates due to restructuring related to academic programming at the graduate level for teacher preparation. Provost Prezant will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you and good morning. This is a change that is a reflection of the development of a new set of programs under an MAT, Master of Arts in Teaching. And I would turn it over to our Dean of the College of Education, Dean Hegedus, to explain the details.
Thank you, Provost Prezant. Good morning, everyone. This is a result of restructuring. The post-baccalaureate programs have had decreasing enrollments over the past few years since we've begun an MAT program with multiple concentrations, which we saw as a natural consequence. The MAT program, the Masters in Arts and Teaching, in some cases is just a few more credits, maybe 6 credits more than the post-baccalaureate. And you also then not only get initial license, but a master's degree, which is required also in Connecticut. The post-baccalaureate program has also been challenging as well because it still falls under undergraduate financial aid, and some students have been finding out that they've maxed out, so they cannot use their graduate financial aid. So it's a combination of factors. We believe this is a significant change and one that we've actually seen increase enrollments in our master's program as a consequence of that. So we seek the discontinuation of the post-baccalaureate programs in multiple areas today. And at the same time, the reflection of seeing growth. We actually have some additional concentrations in the MAT on the agenda later today as a consequence of this. Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions that the regents have.
Are there any questions from the ASA committee members about this item? Comments? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the discontinuations?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Item is approved. I'd like to move to put the second item, suspensions, before the committee, the early childhood teaching credential. Provost Kathoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Southern Connecticut State University seeks approval for the suspension of the early childhood teaching credential concentration of the interdisciplinary studies program, which was developed in response to the state legislature requiring heads of daycare to obtain an ECTC Level B certification. However, the state has pushed those requirements back. The suspension is requested so that the concentration is available if and when this program is reinstated by the state. Currently, there are no enrolled students in this concentration. Provost Prezant will speak to the item and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you again, Provost Kathoria. This, as the provost has said, is the original program was a response to some legislative action, and the request to suspend is similarly a response to some legislative action. And I would turn the floor over to our Dean of Education again, Dean Hegedus. Stephen.
Thank you, Bob. Nothing much to add apart from the coursework that was developed. We still have that, and so if there's restructuring within the area of early childhood, there's a lot of legislation come forth from OEC at this time as well. If there's restructuring within that space, then we still have some coursework that could apply to that as well. So that's why we're requesting a suspension at this time. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the regents? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the suspension?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All in favor of approving the item?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Next item is the first of the new programs, Health and Wellness Management BS from Western. May I have a motion to put it on the table for discussion?
So moved.
Provost Kathoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Western Connecticut State University seeks the approval for a new program, a Bachelor's of Science in Health and Wellness Management. This program offers an interdisciplinary degree with a dual focus in health, wellness, and in business management administration. The program includes a strong foundation in psychology and communication methods, which sets it aside from Western's current program in health promotion studies and health education, as well as from programs like nursing or pre-health pathways. Provost Alexander will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here to bring forward this proposal to add to our already very strong suite of health and mental health programs at Western Connecticut State University. This program rounds things out. We have many based in the sciences that are more applied, for example, the nursing and our public health programs. But we have a group of students who come to us that want to work in the health industries, but don't necessarily thrive or want to work in the science end of it. So addressing that need allows us both to recruit a different group of students, but also serve our students who come with one set of assumptions and change their mind. So it's both a recruitment and a retention effort for WCSU. Here to give you some more of the details is Dr. Emily Stevens from the Department of Health Promotion and Exercise Science. Emily.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. I think the overview has already been provided. It's this interdisciplinary degree between health and wellness and the business management and administration. I think it really has the potential to help with recruitment as well as retention. We have quite a few students who seem to kind of go into business and say, but I really like health and wellness. And they come into health and wellness and they say, but I don't want to be a public health practitioner. I want to do the business side of it. And we've had students, go in to create their own, out into the field, be entrepreneurs in health and wellness, create their own gym or fitness center, yoga studio, dance studio. They might want to, do administration for a medical group, go on to our master's in healthcare administration, get an MBA. So this provides a really good home for those students who kind of have this more business focus or interest in the health and wellness field. It's a relatively low cost major because it's developed with almost entirely existing courses that are already on the books and running. I would just need to create 2 new courses that would be for year 2, and that would cover their capstone and field based work for the senior year. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? Regent James? Regent James?
Thank you. I was wondering if this program sounds exactly relevant to what's going on today. Are there conversations in terms of potential partnerships or pathways with some of our community colleges who are also very focused in this area?
Yeah, so I know we have a transfer. We filled up the form for the transfer and articulation. I haven't reached out quite yet to constituents. I've talked to a colleague at Norwalk that I know says, great, yeah, we might be able to form a pathway. That's kind of the next steps in this, is I would like to reach out to the community colleges and talk about, the transfer agreement, the opportunities for students coming out of associates to come into this program. There are a lot of general elective requirements, and there are general elective opportunities in this. So I think that the flexibility in this will also help with transfer students and students coming out of associates programs, as well as potentially degree completion people that are out there. So, if we have folks in Connecticut who have some college credits, who are working, they want to come back and get a degree, I think this would be a great option for them, because there is a lot of electives in it and a lot of room for them to kind of create their own path in the wellness and fitness field.
Thank you. I strongly encourage you to continue those conversations. I think we've been discussing a lot the career pathways, opportunities for students in terms of the entire system. So I'm encouraging that conversation continue. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Regent McCarthy.
Yes, I just want to say I think this is an excellent idea. People often tend to overlook the business of health and wellness, and the business side of that is every bit as important as the business side of anything, and often unaddressed. Constantly, for those of us in this field, we encounter people who are superbly trained in the content and the clinical areas, and not at all trained in management. So I think this should open up great opportunities for students, and lots of them would be well advised to pursue this. And I agree with Regent James that the opportunities for transfer here from community colleges and other institutions seem to me would be considerable. So kudos, and just make sure you publicize it.
Will do. Thank you.
I take it this is also a sort of fallback for students, as you said earlier, I think, who started in programs like nursing and then run screaming from the field for whatever reason. I mean, I've literally seen that sometimes in my former life.
Yes.
And so, okay, so this serves a number of different. This program can serve a number of different, very good purposes.
It does, yeah. And I have data showing just our drop off even in health promotion studies. And I think we could capture a lot of those students. And as you said, they see chemistry and anatomy and physiology and turn the other way. So I'm hoping that this opportunity gives them a home to stay and get a degree.
Any further comments from the regents? Can I have a motion to move forward to approve this program?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The next new program proposal is the Nursing BS from Eastern. May I have a motion to put this on the table for discussion?
So moved.
Provost Kathoria?
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Eastern Connecticut State University seeks the approval for a new program, Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. This proposal is a necessary response to the severe nursing workforce shortage in Connecticut, especially in the eastern part of the state. This traditional four-year baccalaureate program provides an opportunity to combine a liberal arts education with a professional preparation in nursing. Provost Salka will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you, Provost Katuria, and good morning, Regents. Two things are well documented about nursing programs. One, as Provost Katuria just said, there's a severe shortage of nurses in Connecticut, particularly in Eastern Connecticut, and a shortage of seats in nursing programs across the state. But the second thing that's well known is nursing programs are incredibly expensive to begin, primarily the creation of the simulation lab facilities that are needed to train nurses. So when Hartford Healthcare approached Eastern almost 2 years ago and asked us to start a nursing program, our first response was no, because we didn't have the resources for the startup cost of the program. When they approached us a little while later and offered to help pay for the simulation lab, we were interested. And then when the governor announced the Health Horizons grant program, we fully engaged in creating this program. And I really do want to recognize my two colleagues who are here with me today, Dr. Encia and Dr. Bataille, because once we secured the funding for this program, they worked tirelessly over the last few months to build the major that we have today. This program is made possible by us securing almost $2 million in external funding to support the startup costs. We have a $1.2 million Health Horizons grant from the state. We have a partnership with Hartford Healthcare where they are putting up $500,000 towards the construction of the simulation lab. They are giving us the space at Wyndham Hospital, which is within walking distance of our campus, to build that simulation facility. And they are also committing to finding clinical placements for our nursing students once the program is up and running. And then I'm also happy to say that Eastern has found a private donor who has committed $200,000 in need-based scholarships for our nursing students to support them when they begin hopefully enrolling in this program. So as you can see from the budget, the program will operate at a small loss in the first year. Again, the big expense is the $1 million we're going to spend on the simulation labs, but that $1 million is coming completely from external funding. Once that startup cost is in place and we begin to enroll cohorts each year, the revenue generated from those cohorts will more than cover the faculty and staff needed and the replacement costs of any of the simulation equipment. In fact, by year 4, we project having about 190 students in the BSN program alone, and tuition and fees, not counting housing and other auxiliaries, tuition and fees will generate $2.5 million, and that will more than cover the costs of the program. So again, I want to recognize the hard work of Yao and Amy, and I will now turn it over to Yao to give a little bit more detail about the program.
Thank you, Provost Salka. First, good morning to the regents and everyone present. For me personally, it has been a dream to have a nursing program at Eastern. I have been at Eastern for 3 decades, and I always wanted to have a nursing program in the school. Why? Because it's a liberal arts institution, and matching it with the nursing program for me was a natural, but my thinking was a little bit different from others. Nurses need to be analytical, they need to be critical thinkers, and they need to be evidence-based in their practices. And that is where I bring the two of them together. We formed the Health Sciences Department to train public health, allied health, exercise, and sports sciences. And so bringing a nursing program within the department was a natural fit for us. Our program is a little bit also unique in the sense that we have the curriculum is designed around some specialties like the geriatrics, mental health, family and child, critical care, treating complex diseases, and that is where our clinical curriculum is based on. And we also have a cohort type of a program that we intend to use to move all the students through at one at a time, because this saves money, it saves resources, and so that it will be cost effective. I would just simply pass it on to my colleague, Dr. Batai, to say a little bit more about the academics. Thank you.
Sure. Good morning, Regents, and thank you for your time today. So to talk a little bit more about the curriculum, it was developed based on our research of other nursing programs, and it really takes into account the standards that are necessary for accreditation. So after we start the program, we will apply for accreditation to the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education, CCNE. And the program is also designed to prepare students to take the NCLEX RN exam, which is the necessary licensure exam to be a registered nurse in practice. So the courses that you see listed in our proposed program reflect all of those requirements. The uniqueness of this program, as Dr. Ancia started to talk about, was that it is embedded in the liberal arts education, and that we're partnering with Hartford Healthcare for clinical instruction, as Provost Salka said. This connection to this massive network of healthcare professionals will be invaluable for our students because they'll gain all the required clinical experience and make a lot of really nice professional connections. Some other unique qualities of our program, and Dr. Ancia maybe touched on a few of these, include an emphasis on community and public health, mental health and psychiatric health, and clinical care for complex diseases. We made a point to infuse these specific courses into the curriculum because they fit the current needs of our society. So for example, COVID-19 has introduced a need for nurses to be trained in community and public health. So this course emphasizes training in disease prevention, community assessment, and disease management among a community of people. The mental health disorders courses that we infused into the program is there because mental health disorders are vastly impacting our society, and there's a need to train nurses on how to provide care for people with mental illnesses. And so this course really focuses on effective interactions with these patients by combining traditional nursing practices with some of the fundamental principles of mental health care. And then lastly, the other thing that Dr. Ancia mentioned was that complex diseases. So chronic illnesses right now are plaguing our society and are really placing a high demand on our healthcare system. So this course is really designed to train nurses how to participate in collaborative healthcare, where they may work with a team of providers, and how that kind of collaboration is necessary for managing the most complex illnesses that may have multiple etiologies. So these are just a few ways that we think our curriculum will be unique and attractive to future nurses, and how we believe it will serve the needs of the current needs of the community, while all still adhering to the standards that we need for accreditation and successful completion for our students of that NCLEX RN exam and licensure. It also supports our liberal arts mission at Eastern and includes all the necessary components of the liberal arts program. And so we're excited about the possibility of training nurses in a liberal arts setting. Thank you.
Any questions from the regents? Regent McCarthy?
Good morning, and thank you. Just by way of a little history, at one point in my career, I was responsible for the running of a nursing program in a school of health and human services. And you folks, as you know, have taken on an enormously challenging task. And you just mentioned it in a few lines: the need to be interdisciplinary, the need to prepare students for NCLEX exams, the need to get accreditation. And in spite of that, you've charged ahead, and you seem to have done a wonderful job. You're clearly looking at strong labor force needs. You're clearly looking, and you've engaged already, strong community support, community partnerships, and strong financial support and a clear financial understanding. So I think that the elements of this program are really very well done. The partnership with Wyndham Hospital is a great idea, and clearly it's great from their perspective too. And I'd actually, not that you haven't done enough already, but I'd look forward to the day when you're adding a master's program to this program, and possibly even a direct entry master's program, so that you could find people who are changing career and want to become nurses without going back to first year in college. So well done. You've got challenges ahead of you, but I think great opportunities.
Thank you, Regent McCarthy. Professor Sasenko?
Sure. A question I wish I'd asked you ahead of time, but we're here now. First of all, congrats on addressing the enormous nursing shortage. I think that's a great thing. I wanted to ask a question just about process. This is my understanding that there is still a step in the shared governance process at Eastern that has to be completed. And I'm wondering from the folks at Eastern what the response will be once that step has been completed. I guess what I'm asking is, has this gone through Senate, and what is the sort of formal position on what happens if it doesn't make it through Senate, which I don't expect. I assume the fact that it's here means that that's not what you're expecting, but simply just as a matter of process.
Sure, I can answer that. So the process, as the regions know, to get a new program approved by the Board of Regents is a lengthy one. And so with the intention of getting our first cohort into Eastern in the fall, I submitted the paperwork to the system office to go through the board process back in February. The deadline was February to get on the academic council meeting in March, to get on the committee meeting agenda for today, to get on the board's agenda in May. That would allow us to start enrolling students in the fall. Meanwhile, the paperwork on campus was going through the curriculum committee and through our own Senate. The bill to create the new major was introduced in the Senate on this Tuesday. The way that our Senate works, there's a 2-week delay, a first reading, and then a 2-week delay for the second reading and the vote. The vote will be 2 weeks from Tuesday. And once approved, then it will have gone through the campus shared governance process and then be ready to go, hopefully, from this committee onto the board's agenda. I think the question Regent Sasenko is asking is, what would happen if the University Senate voted no on this major? The first thing that would happen is we would have to give back the $2 million we have received to support this program. That would be unfortunate. I don't expect that it will happen, but if it were to happen, then I would contact Provost Couturier and ask him to remove the major from the board's agenda in May. And then we would start over from scratch.
Thank you. One of the challenges you have is recruiting of faculty, and probably one of the largest challenges in a nursing program. And if you're planning to start this student entry, you said in the fall of 24?
No, we actually, if approved by this committee and the board in May, we are going to start enrolling students for this fall of 23.
Okay, but that would be in the liberal, and they would be primarily at that point in the liberal arts course.
Yes.
Part of the curriculum.
They would be taking their LAC courses, but also the prereq courses, which are identical to the courses in our allied health and health sciences. And we have the faculty in place to teach those courses.
What is the process? You have to recruit a chair of the nursing department, I would assume, right? Or lead person in the nursing program.
A director.
How is that process going?
The ad has been placed, again, in the hopes that the board will approve, and also our Senate, this program. And then those positions are going to be largely grant funded for the first 2 years. I'm told by Dr. Bataille that we are already getting strong applicants for those positions, for the director position and the associate director.
And when you, I'm sorry.
I was just going to chime in that we're also hiring a clinical coordinator who will be responsible for managing all the clinical rotations and establishing partnerships with nearby clinics for our students to gain those experiences. But largely Hartford Healthcare is willing to contribute a lot of those opportunities too.
That was the question I was about to ask. The clinical component, when the students get there, will be overseen by faculty from the program?
Mostly
From
overseen by the clinical coordinator who will be, we've started that search as well and have already qualified applicants for it. So we hope to start that interview process very soon.
And how will the clinical component be organized? In other words, you're going to have students when they reach that point, right?
Yeah, so the clinical courses don't really start until about their third year in the program. So I think there's one clinical related course in their fourth semester, but in the fifth semester is where they would start primarily their clinical work. So we're talking fall 2025. And by then we will have recruited clinical faculty, of which Hartford Healthcare has a lot of employees of theirs who are interested in kind of maybe transitioning a little bit out of nursing practice or maybe kind of complementing their nursing practice that they're currently doing with some education. So they're going to help us recruit some of those clinical faculty members as well. We have approximately 2 years to work on that process.
And that really is, in the end, the most expensive part of the program, I think. Is that?
Maybe Bill can speak to the
So most of the, yes, I can. Thanks, Amy. Most of the clinical faculty will be nurses employed at Hartford Healthcare who will teach for us as adjuncts. And I think the biggest problem is identifying them and recruiting them. But that's where this partnership with Hartford Healthcare is really going to help, because they have already, we had a meeting in Wyndham Hospital on Tuesday. And they already have a list of nurses who are interested in teaching in this new program, nurses from both Wyndham Hospital and Bacchus Hospital, which is in nearby Norwich. But to answer your question, really the expense to us is what we would pay a part-time faculty member, which at Eastern averages about $8,000 a course.
Let me,
Regent McCarthy.
Yeah, maybe I know too much about this, but one of the challenges is that the size of clinical placement classes is very small. In New Hampshire, it was 8, and there's no way with 8 students paying tuition that you can cover the cost of the instructors. But what I'd suggest is that down the road, you might think of nursing faculty developing general education courses that would recruit students from many other majors around the university. I know at UNH we were enormously successful when a faculty member decided to develop a gen ed course that was health and nursing focused. And we had hundreds of students taking that course every year, and that helped balance out the 8 students in each clinical placement. So,
Yeah, that was part of what I was also, because in New York it's 10 to 1. I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's the same point that Regent McCarthy is making, and that has always been the high cost component, if you will, of this.
But you know, I'd be confident. This sounds like a pretty creative group. And I think they could figure out how to balance those enrollments pretty well. So,
yeah, we have a little bit experience in that area. When we designed the health sciences, which was about 5 years ago, we created another program, which was the Foundations of Health Sciences, and that was open to the liberal arts core, and that basically brought a whole bunch of students into the liberal arts program who were not liberal arts majors, and for them to get their interest in allied health, public health, and then physical therapy and all those pre-health programs. So that was our opening. And then we also started a medical terminology course, and that also opened it up more to more students who were not directly relating to the major itself, but tangentially they have interest and they wanted to just simply review it. And that has basically allowed us to have, even though we started about, it's a little bit fuzzy here, about 5 years ago, we have close to 400 students in the department. And that is one of the largest departments in the school. And we just started it as part of the health sciences. Yes, we do have the experience. We know that it's challenging because we know the hours we have put into the program. Between the two of us, Amy and I, we practically sleep and live with nursing documents next to us because we are not nurses. So we are committed to getting this program started.
Other comments or questions? This is an important program, and well, first, is there a motion to approve the program?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the program?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Regent James, I can't tell from.
No. I said I approved.
Thank you. Okay. It's you're flashing in and out a bit, so it's. Any abstentions? The motion is approved. Program is approved. Congratulations. This is an important undertaking, and obviously nursing is a very high demand area now. And as a senior citizen, I'm very sympathetic to geriatric nursing issues. So I wish you well. I wish you well with the program, and the committee, I think, is very supportive of what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Next item, D, modifications, organizational management coming from Eastern. Provost Kathoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Eastern Connecticut State University seeks the approval for the Masters of Science in Organizational Management to move from traditional on-ground modality to fully online with a program title change from Organizational Management to Management. Courses are being updated to reflect workforce needs and advances in the discipline with the addition of a concentration in healthcare management. Provost Salka will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you very much, Provost Katoria. I'm actually very happy to be bringing this program forward because I see it as an example of what I would like every program at Eastern to be doing right now. Basically, as Provost Katoria mentioned, we're asking for a name change, but also changing the modality from on-ground to asynchronous online. And what happened here is our org management master's program has seen declining enrollment for a number of years. And so a group of faculty last fall took it upon themselves to begin the process of improving the program. And the first thing they did was reach out to leaders across numerous industries within Connecticut to ask them what a master's in management program should contain, what skills are they looking for in graduates of such a program. And to be clear, this is not an MBA, it's an MS in management. And so they solicited this input from industry leaders and then got to work to basically do three things. They updated the curriculum. The curriculum was built in the 90s. It was woefully out of date. They added the healthcare management concentration because they saw from these conversations a clear need for training in that, particularly in Eastern Connecticut. And then they changed the modality to online, but in doing so, they've also changed the course offering so that courses are now 7-week courses rather than full 15-week courses. And this is based on all the data that show that adult learners really want those more intensive, shorter courses so that they can progress more easily through the program. And so I think it's a really much improved program. And then they did it, unlike many programs, without asking for new resources. So this is really a budget neutral modification. What they did is built the new courses and the new curriculum around the strengths of our existing faculty. So we do not need any additional faculty lines to offer the courses in this modification. And in fact, we anticipate increased enrollment in the program, which will bring in new revenue to the university as well. And so I just want to thank the faculty for their great work on this. And I will now turn it over to Dean Pandey, who's the Dean of Education and Professional Studies and our graduate division, to give you a little bit more detail.
Thank you, Provost Salka, and good morning, Regents and everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. As Provost Salka mentioned, the program was designed in the early 1990s as a fully on-ground semester-long courses program. The whole idea being to have students come to campus in the evenings. This was an interdisciplinary program, but it had a theoretical focus, preparing students for potentially doctoral studies or for mid-level supervisory careers. And in its current form, the program had essentially lost relevance for professionals in the state in some way. So our research showed us that employers are looking for currently working professionals to develop some of their leadership skills and their strategic thinking skills, and that's what our program redesign aims at. We have included courses such as talent management, DEI management, change management, strategic thinking, design thinking, things that will help people who are currently working across industries and sectors to upskill themselves and in response to what the workforce needs or what the employers need. So if there are any specific questions I can answer, I'll be happy to.
Thank you. Questions from the Regents? Regent James?
Just a question with respect to some of the challenges organizations are currently facing in the total remote environment and developing some of those relationship building and soft skills. So I guess my question is, have you thought about how you fill those gaps that are created or that haven't been fully addressed yet in terms of the online educational component?
Absolutely. So our faculty are really engaged in getting trained and upskill themselves on how to teach online and also address some of these issues. So one of the things that we do here is the challenges of remote work and hybrid work, and we already address some of these in our coursework. And that's a point well that's something that change management and talent management types of courses will definitely be also helping employers address. I don't know if that answers your question, sorry.
It does. I think the question is, we'll have to see in the future how effective some of these things are, because sometimes it does take a while to fully appreciate all of the pluses and minuses as you're making change, particularly in modalities.
Regent McCarthy?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I'm going to build on Regent James's comments, because I was going to compliment you on a number of things, but particularly the switch to 7-week units. Because in my experience teaching and in setting up these kinds of programs, I found that a 7-week unit is a good way to reduce some of the strains that Regent James just referred to. It's very hard to keep the attention of a group through 14 weeks of a traditional semester, but I found that 7 weeks is really quite helpful. And then I just want to give you congratulations. This sounds like a textbook case of an excellent way to go about designing a new program. You start with the research, you consult the communities, you think about what's relevant and what's needed, and to do it all within your existing financial model is just like icing on the cake there. So again, you've done an outstanding job in developing a new program that to me seems quite promising for this space. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Motion to approve the program?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Modification is approved. The next two items are related together, the MS in school psychology and the sixth-year certificate from Southern. They will be voted on separately, but I think we want to have the discussion should include both at the same time since they parallel each other. Provost Kathoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Southern Connecticut State University seeks the approval for revisions to the Masters of Science in School Psychology, as well as the sixth-year certificate in school psychology. The revised programs are designed to fully meet the new NASP standards and prepare Southern for the next program review. Completion of these educator preparation program prepares student for certification as a school psychologist in the state of Connecticut. Provost Prezant will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you, Provost Kathoria. Keeping these two programs together in one discussion makes sense. They both have the same kind of rationale, and that rationale is based on the fact that the National Association of School Psychologists, NASP, actually emerged from CAPE, the Council for Accreditation of Educator Preparation. And in doing so, they changed some of the standards, and both of these programs had to accommodate to those new standards. The good news is the College of Education was working on a change in curriculum anyway to enhance the program. With us to discuss both programs, again, is the Dean of our College of Education, Dean Hegedus, and a contributing faculty member from the Department of Counseling and School Psychology, Casey McPherson. So, Stephen, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Provost. Yeah, this is very timely, and we're continuing our pursuit to ensure that all of our programs are aligned with professional association standards and accreditation. So it is one more program. Previously, this was under the CAPE National Accreditation, which just over a year ago, we got full accreditation with no conditions and no areas for improvement. So very proud of that. And then we're continuing within the school psychology programs, both the master's and the sixth year, to meet the new standards for the school psychology. This is a really important program for us here in the College of Education, and it is gone through a restructuring and realignment. But the actual total number of credits has actually gone down in one of the programs as we have refined this, similar to the previous program that we heard about. There will be we have the capacity, there will be no need because there's no new courses for faculty. I have joined today, is Dr. Casey McPherson, who is the program coordinator and has been leading the charge in revising the both programs. And Casey, is there anything more specific you wish to add?
I would just add that school psychology continues to be a shortage area for educators in Connecticut. We also, as a program, continue to have double or triple the number of applications to our program than we can currently hold students in the program. And the part of why we would like to include the Masters of Science and sixth-year certificate together, or putting these changes forward together, is that in order to be certified in Connecticut as a school psychologist, you have to hold both a master's and a sixth-year certificate. And so our program, when accredited by our national accrediting body, has to go forward as both the master's and sixth-year certificate together. So a change to one has to lead to a change in the other, and that's why both are up for review.
Thank you, Casey.
Comments, questions from the regents? No. The only given what has been happening in the mental health area, this program becomes more and more important, particularly in the school setting. So I assume it's attuned to what unfortunately we're seeing in this area.
That's correct. And the revised curriculum actually includes an increased focus on preparedness and responsiveness to crisis intervention in the schools. It includes trainings. I'm personally a trainer of trainers for crisis preparedness and response. And so we incorporate those trainings into the new curricula. And that will also account for part of the way the sequences have been revised is to include the standards across multiple classes, but also to include that crisis response and that crisis preparedness in multiple classes, including program evaluation, assessment for special education, and counseling courses.
And I assume there's demand for this is going to be this is something, unfortunately, people in the school area are going to have to be familiar with.
Absolutely. It's actually mandated by law to have a school psychologist in the school to serve special education students. So this is not a job that's going to go away anytime soon.
Any other comments? May I have a motion to approve the modification?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, first we're going to vote. We're going to separate the vote. I should be clear on this because we have to vote. First, we're going to vote on the MS in school psychology. So I'm taking these motions as a motion to approve the MS. Okay. Any further comments about the MS? All in favor of approving the MS program?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? MS program is approved. Is there a motion to approve the accompanying 6-year certificate? Motion to approve this. Thank you. Second. Any comments, further comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The certificate is approved. So you now have approval for both from the committee for both the MS and the certificate. So thank you.
Thank you, Regent Bloom.
The final item is the social work BSW from Charter Oak. I'm sorry, no, that's not the final item. The penultimate item is the social work BSW from Charter Oak State College. Provost Katoria.
Thank you, Regent Bloom. Charter Oak State College seeks the approval for modifications to the Bachelor of Science in Social Work. Connecticut recently changed the ratio for social workers in nursing homes from 1:20:1 ratio to a 60:1 ratio, thus doubling the demand for social workers in nursing homes. The proposed change modifies field work to better align with the needs of working adults, 2 credits of work per semester versus 4. And allows students to maintain their current job while still pursuing the field portion of the program. Provost Ferreira will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Good morning, Regents. Good to be with you. Just to kind of give you an update, because we're actually in our first year of our social work program. We already have 57 students and quickly growing. So it's been a very tremendous success so far. And also in our first year, we brought on Dr. Solomon Hill, and I'll have him come on just one moment to kind of give details about the changes. And one thing I really do want to highlight as well, because we're going through the CSWE, the Council of Social Work Education. Actually, Dr. Hill is busily working away on our Benchmark 1 document, which actually is some of the reasons for these changes. But one thing I really do want to highlight in this one, before I turn it to Dr. Hill, is also you'll notice that we're changing the term field education to practicum education. This is part of CSWE changes as well, following from our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging standards. And this change supports anti-racist social work practice by replacing the term field with practicum education and following some other social work programs such as University of Southern California. with doing these changes. So we're actually part of this really early version of things that are having more inclusive language. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Hill.
Good morning, all, and thank you so much, Provost Dave, for that introduction and overview of the social work program at Charter Oak. As stated before, we are actually very excited to present to you all and receive your approval with the modification pertaining the social work program to be aligned with CSWE, which stands for the Council on Social Work Education, which is the accrediting body for our profession. We are excited to present to you really our field, and we are changing that, but our practical model, which allows students to actually receive experiences and be exposed to 4 different areas of social work within their time, within their time at Charter Oak. We actually, our current model or our new model will be starting this fall, and it will allow students to actually start their junior year, their first semester of their junior year, to do their practicum experience, and then it will be the second semester of their junior year, and then it will follow with their senior first and second. So they will have a total of 4 different experiences within the practical model, which will allow students to be exposed to different models within the profession. So it could be the minimum of 2 to the maximum of 4. The current model within the social work profession, we actually have concurrent models, which starts for 1 year, their senior year, which students are still in field or their practicum experience their senior year, which is very difficult for students to achieve 400+ hours at a bachelor level. So we have spread the hours across 4 semesters to allow our working professionals to achieve and graduate and be productive citizens. We are very serious about creating change agents and leaders within the social work mission. And this is what is reflecting within our modification document, along with the program requirements to meet the need of CSWE crediting body. I am happy to entertain any questions.
Questions or comments from Regent McCarthy?
Thank you very much. This is a comment, not a question. I'm really pleased and intrigued to see the way in which you've split up the shifts of practicum experience. That small change of 2 credits a semester versus 4, I can see that having a fantastic impact on students being able to work and go to school at the same time. So I really like that model, and I hope that there are other accrediting agencies that might consider accepting that as well, because as you point out, clinical placement can eat up every hour that somebody has and preclude all other options, which is very hard for most of our students. So that's very intriguing and overall really well done.
Well, thank you. We are very excited on being a model for the social work programs within CSWE. We do have some programs that start their second semester of their junior year, but we decided to start the first semester of their junior year. So we are, I think, the first program to present this particular model. So we are very excited to be modeling for social work programs.
Great. Thank you.
Regent James?
I want to echo Regent McCarthy's comments with respect to the practical experience and the change of the modality that way. I also want to commend you in terms of the articulation of the equity component of this. I feel it's been very well placed, very well articulated, and very necessary in today's environment. And just commend you for the thoughtfulness and the thoroughness in terms of the entire presentation of this and the outcomes that you're seeking.
And thank you for that. And just another, we are moving forward with CSWE EPOS, which is the Educational Policy and Accreditation Standards, which introduced the 2022 EPOS, which focus on diversity and inclusion. So thank you for that comment.
Other comments or questions? May I have a motion to approve the BSW social work modifications?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is carried. Congratulations. Program modification is approved. It goes to the, as I said, it will go to the full board at the May meeting of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Final item, last but not least, BA in Studio Art from Southern. Provost Katoria.
Regent Bloom, seconds before this meeting started, I received a note that Southern is requesting that this degree be postponed. Provost Present, is that accurate?
That is accurate.
Okay. So Regent Bloom, do we need to amend the agenda?
Excuse me, Provost Present, is it both the modification
Yeah,
and the
that's the
below
question.
threshold? Is that both items for studio art are being recommended to be modified and taken off the agenda?
So I think I need to be educated here, in that we have found what looks like a calculation error in the below threshold. And we didn't want to put anything forward with false pretenses. The name change, we want to move forward on the name change, but I didn't know how intimately they were linked.
The discussion would be linked, but we can move the modification, the name change forward and leave that on the agenda. And we can take a motion to remove the below threshold item, so that you can correct your calculation, take that off the agenda and not consider that for formal approval. Or
That would be
for even
perfect.
consideration, because it doesn't require board action, but it wouldn't, the changes would not go through.
If we could do that, Provost Katoria, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely.
In terms of protocol, Regent Chair Bloom, you would need to move that as a motion to amend the agenda to remove item 4A1,
Okay,
studio
with
art.
4A1, yeah.
Take a second and vote to amend the agenda with that removal.
Well, we have two items. We have to vote on the BA in Studio Art.
Well,
and then
we can do, while we're discussing it, we can remove the item, the below threshold item now, and then just finish the studio art name change after we take this vote. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, okay. So the first motion is to remove item 4A1 from the agenda, Studio Art BA, from the informational items.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the item 4A1 is removed from the agenda. We now have before us Studio Art BA from Southern. Is there a motion for discussion of that item?
So moved.
Second.
Provost Authority, do you want to talk about that item?
Yes.
Yes, Regent Bloom, thank you. Southern Connecticut State University seeks the approval for a name change to the Bachelor of Arts in Studio Art degree. The proposed name change from Studio Art to Art and Design will group studio programs alphabetically with the Department of Art and Design's other degree programs, such as Art Education, Art History, and will add coherence to how the Department of Art and Design is listed in the university catalog. Provost Present will speak to the proposal and introduce colleagues as needed to comment and answer questions.
Thank you, Provost Katoria, and thank you for accommodating my confusion on this. I didn't know how intimate they had to be and didn't want to put anything forward that was not fully upfront. So this is very straightforward. The department is responding to student requests and faculty expertise and what the careers are in the art world. So it's merely broadening studio art, which is relatively narrow, to art and design, which has a much broader encompassing in the art world. I don't think it's lost on them that alphabetically it will give them a little more prominence as well. But simply put, it broadens the discipline to accommodate what we hear from students and the career services folks.
Comments from the regents? No comments. May I have a motion to approve the the Ida Studio RBA item from section 3 of the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
But I'm a little confused. What are we moving now?
We're considering, now we have stricken 4A1 from the
Right.
agenda.
Yeah.
So what we are considering now is
3.
Studio Art BA 3, item 3D5.
5.
Right. And we're approving that.
Yes.
There's a motion to approve that.
The motion to approve it.
Okay, so we're moving that item forward for approval.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have separated the below threshold item. Okay. So is there a motion to put this on the table?
So moved. Or second,
Okay.
whatever.
Second, okay. Any discussion now of that item, name change item, which we have on before us now? We're all in favor of putting it in alphabetical order, I take it.
And name change, yes.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
What we have remaining, the 3 informational items remaining, the below threshold items. That's 4A. We don't vote on them, but is there any comment on anything in 4A? Remember, we have removed 4A1, the studio art, from that list now. The annual report, 4B, the annual report of the Connecticut Commission of Educational Technology. Any comments about that? There's an interesting point I just went on pages 14 to 15 regarding open education resources in higher education that Eastern and Southern have been involved with. And the open education resources seeks to provide materials that can be used in courses at no cost to the students, rather than require textbooks. And so it's an option that's being used in a number of different courses and places to try to reduce the cost of attending colleges and universities for the students. So I think it's worth taking a look at. The sabbatical leave, C, don't require board approval, but they require, and they're below threshold. So we have from community colleges, Southern and Western. Any comments about that? Next item would be a motion to adjourn. Before we move to adjourn, I have one statement I want to make. I want to wish everybody we're in the midst of the holiday season for 3 major religions. So this is Easter, Passover, and Ramadan. I wish to wish everybody a celebratory holiday season. And I hope that's on behalf of the committee the rest of the committee would endorse that. And I would now accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Thank you, Regent McCarthy. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to adjourning? We are hereby officially adjourned.
Thank you. Happy holidays to everyone.